Chelsea versus Brighton, a rematch from last week, but this now is for the Premier League. Now, I think this is a good thing for Chelsea because they just lost to Brighton in the FA Cup, and therefore there will be a chip on their shoulder, which is what they need right now in the Premier League. Because what we've been seeing with the tactics, with the players, with how Enzo Maresca has been lining players up, they've been flat to say the least, and this flatness has really come to really destroy their chances of winning anything this season, and especially to even finish in the top four. Now, currently, they obviously are in the top four, but there is such a close race right now with Newcastle, with Man City, with Chelsea, and I'm sure as the season continues, there might be a fourth team that does join in that area. But the fact is that Chelsea versus Brighton, this will be a great match for Chelsea to, again, boost their confidence. Now, obviously, Enzo Maresca did come out and talk about how losing to Brighton last week was actually a good thing because Chelsea currently cannot look at doing four competitions in the season, and I would agree with him. You can disagree because you might want to say that, yes, teams should compete for all four or whatever competition they're in, but right now, Chelsea need to focus on the Premier League itself. They need to focus on getting back into the Champions League. They need to get into top four, maybe top five, depending how this season ends. And therefore, again, it makes sense that they're not going to take too big of a hit by getting knocked out of the FA Cup. And yes, it's nice to make it further into the FA Cup because obviously there are benefits with that. You can also rotate players. There's more revenue coming in. But again, Chelsea have the Conference League still. They are the heavy favorites, so they do go on to win that, which hopefully that is the case. They should win that. They then already get put into Europa League, which obviously is a step up, and therefore that will help them next season with any type of revenue and also bringing different players into this club. But that all being said, today's match against Brighton in the Premier League, like I said, is a big match. Now, Enzo Maresca has to make some huge decisions. Now, the first one, it seems like he's already made this, is the goalkeeper. We are going to go with Jorgensen again, which, yes, this makes sense. I do understand why Sanchez was starting for a while, but now we need to stick and move on to the next guy because if we keep going back and forth between these goalkeepers, it's going to mess up our back line. And this was an issue last year, not just with goalkeepers, but with our defense, because when we keep rotating these defenders with goalkeeper, they're not getting this connection. They're not getting this momentum of understanding the communication, what is needed with this back line. So therefore, again, to stick with Jorgensen now for probably the rest of the season, unless an injury happens, or something major, again, a lot of errors, which hopefully that does not happen. This is going to be the starting guy, and I don't know what's going to happen to Robert Sanchez at the end of the season. More likely not, it would make sense for us to sell him or do something different with him because if this is the case, this is the second time he's been knocked down to second goalkeeper by the backup goalkeeper. Petrovic last year did this to him as well, and therefore, again, that's probably going to knock his confidence quite a bit, so it would make sense for Chelsea to get rid of this player. Now, the back line, obviously, I think selects itself for the most part. We're going to have Cucurella. He is our only left back, so obviously he's going to be starting in that left back position. We really cannot start anyone else there. And as our CBs, it seems like Colwell and Chalaba will probably be the starters, if not Tosin. I'm not 200% sure how Colwell is feeling right now, but it does make sense that he would start. If that is the case, then Chalaba would come off the bench. But that being said, Reece James starts as that right back as well. This is our back line and how it should be probably for the rest of the season. I know Fofana, it looks like he's training again, but it doesn't make sense like we just talked about before with the goalkeeper rotating it. If we are rotating our CBs as well, the same thing is going to happen. We're not going to have that continued momentum going forward, and I don't think it's wise for us to throw Fofana back into the mix right now. He did get the surgery for his injury, and therefore, again, there's a high probability he's going to get injured again. I'd hate to see that happen to this player because he has a huge future if he can stay fully fit. Now, you could say that about a lot of Chelsea players, but it would make sense to, again, slowly incorporate him into matches and therefore, again, not start anytime soon. Now, midfield, same thing. I think this selects itself for the most part. Casado obviously is our CDM. He's the guy that really does dictate this entire midfield. Again, he's the reason why I've been doing so well this season. If it wasn't for him, we would definitely be struggling, and I think he's going to really dictate the momentum in this match, and obviously we've seen this time and time again, so not surprised by that. But like I said, the rest of the team, this is where it gets up in the air because as we know, we don't have currently a striker, so Nkuku makes the most sense that he's going to start in that front role. Jackson's going to be out for a while, and the Marquez is also out for quite some time. So Nkuku right now has the probability to shine finally at Chelsea, which again, fingers crossed that this does happen because this player obviously has the potential to be a great player and can do so much of this club. Hasn't really got a full run in besides Europa Conference League. So therefore, again, this is better competition and hopefully he can continue that. The only problem with is how much he drops back. It does leave this massive void. We had a video about this. We'll probably make another one why it has been an issue for Chelsea. But overall, he's the guy that's going to be starting. Now the wings, this is where it's going to be interesting. We could go with Noni on that right side. We could go with Neto. We could go with Sanchez. I think we're going to do a mixture maybe of actually all three of those players and actually maybe throw Palmer in that number 10 role, but then have all those players actually moving around. Now, again, that is what I think maybe happen, but it would make sense, though, that Enzo Fernandez also is in the midfield. So if that's the case, one of those guys obviously has to go to the bench. And if that's going to be the case, I'm going to assume Neto is going to be the guy coming off the bench. So Noni on that right, Sancho on the left, and then Palmer as a number 10, and then Enzo next to Caicedo, and then obviously they fluctuate for the most part. Overall, though, this team does seem like they have had some issues as of lately. They currently have been scoring, but they also have been letting in so many goals. So obviously in this game, the big takeaway is to actually hold our defense, not let Brighton score any goals. And if we do score, obviously keep our foot on the gas pedal, control the game, and make sure we take the game to them and just shut it down by scoring multiple goals. Because if we only go up by one goal, this is where we leave the opportunity for Brighton to obviously come back in the game. They're playing at home, and therefore, again, the fans will obviously be behind them. So if they come back from 1 down, 2-0 down, the confidence is definitely going to shift from one side to the other. And Brighton, yes, have struggled in multiple games this season, but they also are a very good team as well. And like I said, they can pretty much beat any team on any given day. They can also lose to any team on any given day. So really, today's match definitely comes out with how Chelsea come out with their tempo, with what they do with Enzo Maresca's tactics, and hopefully they can do something a little bit different than what we've been doing, because just playing the ball out to the wide and then going up and down hasn't been working for us as late, and especially like we talked about with Nkunku being that false 9 or number 9 for us as of right now. He's going to not be that aerial guy that's going to win multiple crosses. So therefore, again, we're not going to be pinging the ball too much into the box. So therefore, again, we're going to have to break lines, and depending on how we do that, might be very difficult, especially against Brighton with their defense, their CBs. They're obviously pretty good at keeping a low block and being very tight. So this will be a difficult match for Chelsea. Overall, though, I do see us winning this game, though. I think we'll win this 3-1. I think we do come out, and again, because of our loss last week to them, we're going to take that, use that momentum, and again, take it to them this game. We obviously know how each other plays, so again, this will be very difficult to break each other down, but if we are able to hit them on a counterattack once or twice, make them come out of their shell, we can control the game with our possession, and therefore, again, win this game. But like I said, the huge takeaway is going to be the midfield and defense for both teams, because whoever wins the midfield in this game is going to dictate this. We saw Brighton get absolutely hammered a couple weeks ago when they had no one in their midfield. Now, obviously, they were dealing with injuries. This is where we have to hold, and again, control the game is in that midfield to stop Brighton. So if we can do that, we can win this game. So I do want to know, what do you think about this match, Chelsea versus Brighton? Do you think we actually have a good opportunity of beating them, or do you think we're going to lose this match? I want to know what you guys think. Comment down below. I will get to those comments as quickly as possible, and I will see you in the next video.